All right. Good morning, everyone. So we can start. Unfortunately, I have to say, ik spreche hey Netherlands. So I hope that's okay for you. So today I'm working for the company Ninja One. We're going to talk about patch management. I would like to show you our approach to patch management, how we can support you. I will also show you our new little AI upgrade that we implemented to improve our patching. I also wanted to jump a little bit into the product so that it's not like a purely theoretical presentation, but you also get to see a bit how it works actually in the product. And I also wanted to touch upon the comparison between endpoint management solutions such as Ninja with Intune. I think that's also a bit of an elephant in the room. It's an interesting question, I figure, for many people. And that's something that I would be also curious about your feedback, maybe later at the booth if you can join. So yeah, just briefly to introduce myself. My name is York, like the city, York in the UK or New York, so that's easy to remember. My family name is a bit more complicated, but yeah, I think Dutch people can deal with it easier than other nations. I work as a product marketing manager for Ninja One, based in Berlin. So just briefly, who is Ninja One? So we are an endpoint management solution, cloud-based. We were created in 2013, and the mission is to simplify IT management, improve everything from software deployment to patch management to remediation to script-based automations, etc., and be a helpful tool for IT administrators, but also for security, since there is a big overlap, especially in mid-market companies. And yeah, that's Ninja. We have been growing quite a lot over the last years. So now we're more than 20,000 customers globally. And we invest a lot in support, actually. And we even have Dutch support. So you have bad luck today that you have me in front of you. But usually we also have a Dutch-speaking team. And yeah, we don't have an office in the Netherlands, but we have the Dutch-speaking team in Berlin. So there are enough Dutch people at the moment. Yeah, of course, patch management. We are on a cybersecurity trade show. So patch management is an important topic also on cybersecurity, but obviously it is, how do you say, an overlap between IT management and patch management, right? It concerns both. But here are some figures why patch management is important from a security point of view. So this is like at the turn 23, 24, there was a good analysis by Qualys. That's a vulnerability scanner that many of you know probably. We also have an integrator with them now. And the mean time to exploit is 44 days. So from the publication to the first exploit of a vulnerability. That actually seems even kind of long, in my opinion. But for example, they also pointed out that 25% of threat actors will already scan for vulnerabilities on the day of the publication. So some vulnerabilities take much longer, so that pulls up the mean time to exploit. But this is not a reason for us to stay calm and think we can take our time. Yeah, and then when you look at the defender side, actually 57 people, so this is a big global poll that was carried out by ServiceNow, and 57% of the people in that global survey, so of IT people from the IT department, said that breaches that they encountered or that they had to experience could have been avoided through patching. And then 74% said that they cannot patch fast enough because they have organizational issues and there might be different problems causing that issue. And then also like one figure that's from a different research that from a different report that I read, but I thought it's crazy. Many of you have heard about Log4j, and this has been a while now. So I think 2.5 years now that it was published. And at the end of 23, there were still 38% of organizations analyzed that still hadn't patched that most famous, almost vulnerability, you can say, or one of the famous ones. And so everyone talks about patching. Everyone thinks like, oh, some think it's easy, but in the end, it's maybe not that easy. So this is also here. Over the years, the number of vulnerabilities published is increasing a lot. So we see between 2019 and 2023, it has almost doubled. So not far from doubling. And this obviously also speaks to the fact why this is an important topic. Threat actors, also with new tools and so on. But even with the tools that have been around for a long time, that they have in their toolkit, threat actors, they are professional. They're getting more professional. Obviously, they're acting like business, and they're really using that. So, what are some of the typical challenges that we come across a lot? Are obviously hybrid work. So, since the pandemic, home office already existed before, right? So that's nothing new, but I think the pandemic really made hybrid work models and the home office much more normal. And then, there are obviously always the companies that are like moving really fast and so on, but there are also a lot of companies that have difficulties managing patches, for example, in hybrid environments because maybe they have a WSAS server still. Maybe they have only half points and maybe they're moving to the cloud to Intune or to Azure, but not all devices are in there, or they have a co-management setup, which is very common also. So it can be complicated. And then obviously, then organizations and companies seem to try to find solutions for their on-premise patching, for their cloud patching. So sometimes they have different solutions. Some of the solutions on the market are maybe too complex for some organizations, and then they have a problem to keep up with the patching and detecting the patches, the vulnerabilities, and push them out. One thing, for example, I remember even it was on another trade show, not here in the Netherlands, I think in the UK. Someone told me that they have actually two people, so they have a cybersecurity team and they have the IT infrastructure team, and one person, like the cybersecurity team, would look at vulnerabilities and then basically like inform the IT infrastructure team to patch. But they didn't have like one solution, so obviously then the IT infrastructure team basically was looking at reports and so on, and then like worked based on reports to try to push out the patches. And then obviously there's a lot of compliance reasons also. In Germany we have it, in the UK there are cyber essentials. We have NIS2 now in Europe. So, and NIS2, for example, concerns also MSPs directly. I don't know if we have MSPs here in the audience, but patch management obviously also becomes more important because of these regulatory frameworks that are getting more important. And then there's also like performance and time issues. Like especially if I have this co-management, this hybrid setup, right? And then I have failed patches and I have to like manually look for devices and manually go on devices and so on. So that can be very tedious. That is very error prone, and it does still represent a challenge for many organizations. But then we should not forget, obviously, and this is another reason why a good patch management solution is really important for every organization, every company. Obviously, patching is not only about cybersecurity, right? So everyone that works in IT and system administration knows also that, okay, there's security, and I don't know if I follow Cyber Essentials in the UK, I have to deploy critical patches within 7 days, or I mean, I think even 2 days if it's like a 10 CVSS score. I don't remember exactly, but on the other hand, obviously, if I just aggressively push out all the patches, then very often there are issues in the network. You know, there are I mean, I think a dramatic one was the blue screens with this printer upgrade that a lot of people that work in the day-to-day IT operations that they remember. But I mean, this is just one big one. Obviously, there are regularly issues that we are confronted with. So yeah, so it's really important to join the cybersecurity aspect and the operations aspect, and to kind of think them together when we talk about patch management. And yeah, for example, we always look at it in this life cycle, right? It always starts with discovery. This starts with asset inventory, right? I mean, this sounds so obvious, and it sounds so like, yeah, of course. But I mean, also like when I worked in pre-sales role and I talked to many companies, I also met many companies that have difficulties to even pull out a list with all their devices, what operating system, what OS, build number, what is the patching state, and so on. Even like I see some nodding heads. So it seems obvious, but it is still not that easy. And then obviously, I mean, you want to segment your network. I mean, this is one of the most important cybersecurity guideline rules. But you also want to segment the devices to go through the patch cycle, have a testing group, right? If you have a tool, you will create a policy, you will set up the rules, etc. When it's patched, when it's scanned, how often, and so on. For example, if you work with Ninja, our recommendation obviously is always every day scan and once a week deploy. So then I think that's a good compromise between security and between operations. But obviously you want to automate that as much as you can. Yeah, and then obviously you need to monitor also your patching efforts. So this is also, I think when you have different tools, if you have Intune on the one hand and WSAS or whatever, you know, like I'm just coming up with a common scenario, then it's also a bit painful maybe to just report on that. You know, you have to join different solutions, you have to join different reportings, can be a bit painful. Yeah, this brings me to the next topic. It's like my favorite topic. So I have this discussion very often also, and I think this is it makes sense. So okay, how many people here are Microsoft 365 users? Yeah. Do you also use Intune then? Yeah. So, you know, of course Microsoft is like a big player, and they're also very good, but they're also like in a lot of different activities. So like my reasoning is really like it totally makes sense to use Intune and to use something like Ninja. And this is something that goes a bit like, if I go really into detail, this is like we can talk about this. This can be a presentation on its own. But a tool like Ninja can really like extend the capabilities that you already have and that you should also use, right? I mean, a lot of our clients still use even the patching with Ninja, even though they have Intune. But for example, what they might use in Intune is some compliance checks, you know, like password complexity, you know, yeah, some of the things that you can password, like everything around the passwords. I think that's something very useful. BitLocker, I mean, BitLocker is something that you can also do in Ninja. And this is, for example, also one of the big differences. Like in a tool like Intune, you would detect BitLocker is deactivated, for example, and then the device is non-compliant. In Ninja, you can detect and then remediate automatically. So you can do this as an automation, or you can do this also as an ad hoc action, like with a script, for example, that you just enable BitLocker on one device, on dozens of devices, on hundreds of devices, whatever. And this combination is already like a big advantage where Ninja can enhance Intune. So Intune is a lot about like detecting, but not so much about acting, right? So for example, in Intune, you would have this concept of remediation script, detection script and remediation script. Like in Ninja, first of all, in Intune you have just 2 scripts out of the box. In Ninja you have more than 300 scripts, for all kinds of different scenarios. But you can also add your own scripts, etc. So this is something where Ninja enhances also Intune a lot. And then like one very easy, and I think a lot of people agree with this also, is just a real-time execution. So when you have Intune, like Intune is something that works in the back, it does compliance checks, it can also do the patching for Windows maybe, not on the servers, for example, but on the workstations. But let's say you have a failed patch. Like Intune will not have remote access. Intune does not really have this ad hoc remediation. Like in Ninja, you can go on a device, you can execute a script in real time, you can execute a patch scan in real time, you can execute a patch deployment in real time, and you really see, like, you have like an activity log, and you see in real time, okay, this action is now being executed, and then 1 minute later, it's done. In Intune, it's a bit like you send it into the ether, or how do you say that? And then you will wait. I mean, it will be executed eventually, but you don't know exactly why. And if you're like in a hurry, or you want to fix something now, then this is really like the user perspective. If you're a manager, but even if you're a manager and you put yourself into the position of the IT administrator that always has to wait or doesn't really know when it's actually going to be executed, it is a big factor. Yeah, and then I mean, when we talk strictly about the patching also, for example, Ninja is really good also at patching third-party applications. So this is something, you can do this with Intune, but it is more complicated, it is more painful, and in Ninja it's just a lot easier. So this is also a scenario, for example, that I've come across quite regularly, sometimes maybe, especially if people already had Intune in place, and then they look for some remote access, some hands-on IT management tool, then they maybe leave the OS patching, the Windows patching on the workstations with Intune, but the third-party patching they do with Ninja. And even we even have an integration with. So, for example, there's like you can even integrate Ninja and Intune through like an open source tool. This would be also possible. Then you can even like leverage that combined power even more. Yeah, and then it's also a cost-benefit analysis. So it depends on your budget, on your IT budget. But for example, like the base version of Intune does not have remote access. Does not really have like advanced monitoring. You need the advanced analytics. You need the Intune Remote. So Intune Remote is €3 per user. That's more than Ninja, the whole product Ninja costs almost. So just one add-on. So obviously, like if you take several add-ons, then Intune will be extremely powerful. But yeah, if you just have the base version, then you can like enhance it with a tool like Ninja and solve a lot of the headaches that you might be facing in your day-to-day role. Yeah. So, and this is really like, this is our approach. I mean, now obviously like it's about patch management, but I mean, we really try to join that together. Have the patch management, a good patch management for Windows, for Mac, for Linux, for third-party applications, and embed that patch management into like an endpoint management tool that helps you to have remote access directly at your fingertips, do ad hoc actions, remediations. We even have a ticketing tool. Like if you're a smaller organization, like the Ninja ticketing is awesome. If you're a big organization, we also have a integration with ServiceNow, with Zendesk now, Freshdesk. So Depending on your size, obviously, the priorities can shift. But yeah, we also have our own documentation tool, which is very useful for small to mid-sized organizations. If you're a bigger organization, then you might want to focus on the endpoint part of Ninja. We have our own backup tool. Again, the same logic. I think if you're a smaller organization, then Ninja's backup is really great. It's also useful when you want to have like an additional cloud backup maybe. So you have maybe Veeam for your servers or something for your on-premise environment, but then you want to have a separate cloud backup. You can do that with Ninja, and it's really like set and forget. It's really easy to use. Yeah, and then now we try to enhance it also with AI. Although we have a very cautious approach to AI, so we believe that AI should not take action yet, or that's like kind of our approach. But we want to leverage generative AI, for example, to make better informed decisions, to automatically, so we have this patch sentiment analysis now. So what we already discussed earlier in the presentation, very often there are issues. So we have this little AI feature now that will automatically go through all the common blogs like Microsoft support, Bleep computer, or whatever, like very big famous blogs and so on, Reddit, and see if there are like discussions on this patch, and then put this as an information, but it will not automatically act on your behalf. Yeah. And so now that's 21 minutes, so I have a bit more time. So I wanted to also just show you quickly how it looks. Here, so that's a dashboard. And for example, when you have a failed patch, it would appear as a red critical alert. If you have a pending patch, it would be yellow. And here you always have the overview. So you have all pending patches, approved, rejected, installed, and failed. Or here the overview. So we also have a report section. So here, for example, you see the top devices with failed patches. So if there are devices with a lot of failed patches, maybe you want to like really go to the device and check it out, and see if there is some more deeper issue. And here we have a whole bunch of Linux patches. And here, for example, you also see this. This is like this new AI feature. So we have the CVE number, we have the CVSS score. Okay, this is a feature update, KB number, and then we have here this general sentiment. So this is our little AI feature, and that we just recently added. Again, we have a cautious approach, but we obviously see also like a lot of potential for AI in IT management and so on. But I think this is a really good first step where you can leverage the power of AI but still avoid the trouble that AI might cause. So I think it's a good compromise for now. But I'm very excited about we have this new head of AI now, and yes, it's going to be very exciting what we will add on this road. Yeah, and then you have here the same for the third-party patch. So you have the overview, and you can check out all the failed patches. And you always have here, this is like your general dashboard overview, so you see all your entire IT estate, but you can obviously drill down by groups, by organizations, and so on, right? So here I can check out what are the devices. Here I see Bill's laptop and Daniel's PC. So I see there's a whole bunch of issues here. So I can already see at a glance that, okay, it's probably not only about patching, it's also about something else. And then I go, and for example, here there's much more visibility also. This is also an advantage, I think. In Intune, you have much less visibility unless you buy advanced analytics. Advanced analytics is huge, but advanced analytics is also very expensive. So this is something where Ninja can be a great extension also. But in Ninja, you will have by default a lot of information. So if you do your analysis, if you do your troubleshooting, you see a lot of the info at your fingertips. and then you can act easily ad hoc. So you have the CMD, you have PowerShell. Here you have access to automations, and I can run an automation, and then I will have here I check the system restore status. So this is like one of our out-of-the-box scripts, right? So this is like a harmless script. So I'm not gonna, but it's just a virtual machine, so I can break as much as I want. But in our test environment, but yeah, here you see, like in 2 seconds, I have the output. And this is the convenience, you know. This ad hoc character cloud as a cloud application makes it very nice to work with a tool that is really ad hoc in real time. And also, like something that you can do is you can like package your own software. So this can be very useful when you have like, you know, we all know like VPN clients have vulnerabilities like every other month probably, right? So, and this can be very painful. I remember like one customer of ours, he was also like, there was during the pandemic, he was like struggling with his home office devices, and then he had like, there was a big issue with the Fortinet VPN client. It was a CVSS core 9.5 or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but it was a critical one. And then you always need to deploy the VPN client, you need to deploy the certificate and so on, and you have to make it work that way. And this is not possible with the standard patch software, you know, like, and in Intune you can have a package. You can add like several helper files, you can add your certificate, you can do that all and then roll it out in like 2 minutes. And like, for example, in his situation, since he was like WSAS, he was really working on-prem and he didn't have this whole view of his IT estate, and then he really had this situation where he had like 60 devices or so out of his 1,000 devices that he had to manage, where he had to like literally go to every device one by one and install that VPN client with the certificate and so on. So yeah, I think this is the nightmare for everyone that works in IT. This is like the most boring job that you can do, but then you have a lot of pressure to actually do it quickly. And this is exactly the type of situation that you want to avoid. Yeah, and then just very briefly, we see here Bill's laptop obviously hangs on a policy, hinges on a policy, and this is where you configure the OS patching. So I don't have the time to really go into the details here. Here, for example, when we go about the approval, there's more granularity also than in Intune. So in Intune, you basically have the quality updates and that's it. In Ninja, you have like the different categories, like in the good old days, and then you can like, based on every patch category, you can approve or reject automatically. And what you can also do is you can add like a KB number or a patch ID and block that in your whole IT organization or in some certain group, etc. This is also something that you cannot do, for example, in Intune. So if you want to act fast, then Ninja is a great support. And then here you have the third parties. And here we made a smart move, in my opinion. So we have our own catalog of 150 applications that you can fully automatically patch. But what we also have is we now leverage Winget, that some of you know probably, like this Microsoft tool to deploy software. So we basically leverage that. So you have that in your Ninja One dashboard. And here you see like you can like patch all these applications that are also available through Winget. And you have it like in a GUI-based policy. And yeah, and then, but it's really like automated. It's a policy, you can apply it to your devices, and then you got all these applications covered. Yeah, so, and then you have reports also, but yeah, I think we're kind of on arriving at the end. So if you have questions, so I kind of use this time fully now. If you have questions or if you want to discuss with us, we have our booth right there, like on the right, next to the workspace. So feel free to come to our booth and ask some questions. I will be very happy to answer with my colleagues. But yeah, thank you for your attention then today.